This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update for you. Raw featuring the return of both John Cena and Goldberg to the program drew a 0.57 rating. So they were out of the 0.4s for the first time in a long time. However, you would think John Cena's return and Goldberg's return would have drawn more than the SmackDown, which to my recollection didn't have any big name returns, and SmackDown drew a 0.66 rating. However, it was the first SmackDown and Raw in front of a live crowd, so now we'll see if WWE can sustain the 0.57 and 0.66 ratings they had on the first two shows with the crowd, or whether they can make that go up or go down. We'll follow it and see. Jake Roberts has re-signed with AEW for 2 years. Now, as much as some of us might not like AEW, some of the angles and booking of AEW and the type of people that they push, I will say one very good thing about it is guys like Jake the Snake Roberts don't have to work at the independents like they were for decades. Now they can at least be under a contracted pay and actually make some decent money even late in their careers, like Tully Blanchard too, who's under contract with AEW. I mean, I think he's been under contract with AEW longer than he was under contract to WWE now. So apparently Jake Roberts revealed that in an interview with DDP. Speaking of AEW, Ryan Mantell, the Texas independent wrestler who I know, is now 0-3 in AEW. He was defeated in under 2 minutes by The Blade on tonight's episode of Dark. I might stop watching Dark. Maybe I'm the bad luck charm, because I've been watching it specifically to see him on AEW, and it seems every week it's shorter and shorter and less offense in his matches. So I'm sorry to see that. Now, I do have one note. I did do a Josh Barnett interview earlier today, which is out in full. He really does not like Jake Hager, and he doesn't seem to like the Young Bucks. But a very interesting interview that I tried to touch on as much of his career as possible in the hour that I had. And he did go almost 10 minutes overtime. So I was happy to do that. Mike O'Hearn, I was supposed to interview today as well. However, he had some type of tragedy apparently, so it's being delayed a week. And anyone that doesn't know this guy, the only fitness model / bodybuilder that's been on more magazine covers than Mike O'Hearn is Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. This guy will have a lot of good information. And yeah, we'll get into that more as it draws closer and closer as time goes on. There's one other thing I wanted to put up, but I can't seem to find it right now. I'll answer some of your questions while I see that. Adam says Barnett would destroy Hager in MMA. M97, what's my opinion of out-of-shape wrestlers and smaller wrestlers getting pushed? Does it bother you? It doesn't interest me. I want to see larger-than-life characters. I do understand, like with WCW, there was the cruiserweights, but the cruiserweights was just a couple of matches on a Nitro. And they were new, and most of them were still pretty jacked. Even Rey Mysterio was jacked, but he's possibly one of the greatest cruiserweights, if not the greatest of all time back then. So there you go. Jay is not a fan of Goldberg. Mixed partial farts says Goldberg and Cena's return aren't enough to pull Raw out of the shit pile. Well, they did get out of the 0.4s. They did get out of the 0.4s. Trevor has a comment about aliens. Who knows? I'm very interested in the UFO subject, as anyone that's been following me a lot knows. I did do a UFO-related interview last night. Speaking of interviews that I'm doing, that what's his name? The Sarge from the power plant is going to be doing an interview with me tomorrow, hopefully at 4 p.m. Eastern, also known as Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. We've had some problems connecting, even though we've been trying to get this thing going for a while now. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened. Also, PCW Ultra, I forgot to mention, announced today officially that their return date is October the 22nd, 2021. So I'm going to be there covering that for the Hannibal TV. They haven't announced any matches yet. We do know that the champion, Alex Hammerstone, is going to be on that card. And I'm really looking forward to being back in LA to cover that event. Someone else says Goldberg is a relic from the past. Well, say whatever you want. He does boost ratings. Anonymous 0.66 rating. Take him off the air for good. That was SmackDown. Raw didn't even get that. Raw only got the 0.57 rating. Lots of people don't like Raw. I just don't watch it. I don't watch it. Antonio, I've said this a bunch of times, but I'll say it again, and I'm probably going to avoid saying it as much as possible because I'm pissed about it. Jesse Ventura's agent agreed to a deal. I announced the interview. There was lots of interest in it. Then he changed the deal to something that the deal I was already going to not make money on. I was doing it more of a fan, but also to add to my resume. But then when he saw the reaction, he changed the deal to something else the next day, something that I couldn't even possibly afford. So there won't likely be a Jesse Ventura interview. M97 or Wolverine making a joke about Lashley off his cycle. Josh Barnett actually seemed to get a little agitated when I brought up the rumor that Lashley was on stuff. I don't know. I actually like Lashley. I don't actually even care if he's on anything, to be perfectly honest with you. We all know WWE wrestlers can be on TRT. And from what I understand, they don't even test for growth hormone. So I don't care what anyone's on, to be perfectly honest. Wrestling is not an Olympic sport. Pro wrestling is not an Olympic sport anyways. Monster remembers when the ratings used to be 2.0 and 3.0. I remember when they did an 8 back in the Attitude Era. Thank you, Raymond, for saying I am the man. I appreciate it. Hulk Hogan does not like me. Maybe he will do an interview with me one day, Perry, as I get more and more popular, but I'm not right at a level that would benefit him enough right now, I guess. But no, he definitely doesn't like me, because a few years ago I was at WrestleMania weekend with David Penzer recording footage, and Penzer knew Hogan. And at one point, Penzer asked if the security of the place, because he was in there doing autographs, if we could come in there and get an interview with Hulk. And Hulk said, is it Hannibal with Penzer? And we said yes, obviously. Then he said, Penzer can come in and take a picture with me, but I won't do an interview. Hannibal can stay outside. So we put a picture of David Penzer and Hulk Hogan. But yeah, so he doesn't like me. Mind you, I am a lot more popular than back then, but I think it's because I'm aligned with superstar Billy Graham he doesn't like. I don't know anything about that, Raymond, about Keith Lee. He's one of those guys that someone asked earlier, one of those out of shape looking wrestlers that just like do too many spots and aren't interesting, aren't very good promos. But you know what? God bless him. Apparently someone tried to give him the date rape drug, and he did a speaking out movement about it. I don't know. We live in a strange world. A couple more questions I'll answer here. Winter Layer did not like Goldberg. He seemed like a bald warrior. Well, I liked both Goldberg and the Ultimate Warrior. I definitely did. Perry, I have no interest in talking to Lanny again. He's apparently living in Ecuador or somewhere now, and he can stay there. What do I think of Humberto Carrillo? I know the name. That's about it. I assume he's a luchador. Andrew putting over metal bands. Yes, I definitely like metal bands, particularly hair metal. How about a monthly video broadcast with Honky Tonk Man? He hates wrestling and doesn't want anything to do with it. I've tried to get him to do follow-up interviews. He is going to be at the Bruiser Brody Cup in Carthage, Texas, November 5th and 6th. This isn't the poster that he's on, but there is one of him. There's even one of me. I'm going to be there covering it. So we'll see if Honky Tonk Man will talk to me. Do I think Goldberg can hang in MMA? I don't think in his 50s it'd be a wise idea for him to get into MMA. Who knows? I've never seen him fight for real. I have no idea. Steve thinks Goldberg is dangerous and sloppy. I don't know. Never been in the ring with him. I'd rather see Goldberg than anyone else today, to be perfectly honest. Honestly, if I were to, I didn't watch Raw, but if someone told me, I didn't actually see even the highlights of Raw. But if someone said you have to watch one segment from Raw, I would choose the Goldberg segment. Tank Abbott is SUS. What does SUS mean? Interview the Blood Hunter Fly guy. I would have to ask Blaze about that. That's his manager. As you can see here, she's on the poster for him for Carthage, where they have announced on November 5th he is going to be wrestling none other than Shane Douglas at that Bruiser Brody tribute show. I don't know who he's going to. Well, actually, I know who he's going to wrestle on November the 6th, the following night. It is a guy that used to be in NXT. But the first night, it's Blood Hunter and Shane Douglas. But more information on who he's wrestling the second night, we'll know. Is 0.66 a good rating? Well, keep in mind that's for SmackDown. Raw did a 0.58, I believe. I'll check that again. Oh, fuck. I actually wrote it wrong. Oops. I'll have to change that. Raw did a 0.58. SmackDown did a 0.66. I'm confused. Too many concussions. That's why it's a good thing I'm retired. Pubert is the Blood Hunters Texas title that he's undefeated for. Is that on the line against the franchise? I really don't know. I don't know if he's going to be Texas champion by then. There's going to be other matches he's going to have before then. So that's not until November. So there's a lot of time before then and a lot of shows that I believe he's going to be part of. So have a good night. Thanks for all your comments.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest